A fan on DeviantArt known as Mobian Knight came up with a little journal. Now somebody, I don't know who it was, had asked him to contribute to the journal, or contribute to one of the Sonic groups and the journals on the DA. Well, he did just that. And he figured the best way to start out was with a discussion and predictions on what many of us, and mostly he feels, Ian Flynn will reveal plot-wise in Lost Hedgehog Tales. Now, once again, for some of you that don't know, Lost Hedgehog Tales is Ian's way of making up for the fact that his original idea for the Mecha Sally arc was basically crossed out due to legal matters and also the fact that we had the crossover. So a lot of that comes into play, and Ian pretty much said, you know what, I'm going to make up for basically dragging this along as long as I did without giving you guys a proper conclusion. Now, one thing that Mobian Knight brought out was, or talked about in his discussion here, and I'll provide a link to it, was he mentioned Ben Bates. Now, we all know how writers and artists and any kind of person in the media, whether it's comic book work or movies or television, they like to troll the fans. You know, they like to troll the fans. They like to, tease them, and they like to troll them and make them think this when it's the other way around. Well, a lot of fans pretty much feel that Ben Bates was trolling them when he said in a journal on the DA that Sally was still a robot. I believe he was trolling, because why would you go to all this trouble to restore the world the way it was only to have Sally remain a robot? It doesn't make sense. Or even have her as a cyborg. It doesn't make sense. But according to what Mobian Knight mentions in his contribution to this topic, since he's the one that started it, he believes Ben Bates wasn't trolling. He believes Ben Bates let it slip out that indeed Sally was still a robot, or at least a cyborg. Well, let me kind of say this. To Mobian Knight, you have a right to your opinion. But I honestly believe that's not the case. I do not think Ian Flynn, whether you like Ian's work or not, would go this far and softly retcon and softly reboot the world just to have Sally continuously be some kind of mechanical being of some kind, or a cybernetic being. I mean, sure, I wouldn't put it past Ian to do so, but I just don't see him doing that. I really don't. I really don't see him doing that at all. Because I think he realizes that he pissed off a lot of fans when he roboticized Sally and then weaponized her. So, to me, I don't think he would go and do that, because he pretty much would be pissing off and, I hate to say it, spitting in the face of the fans by saying, oh yeah, you thought she was back to normal, but guess what? She's still robotic in some kind of way. It doesn't make sense, folks. It doesn't. Alright? It doesn't make sense, Mobian Knight. But not saying you don't have a right to your opinion, because you do. And if that's how you feel, then fine. We'll all have to wait until Lost Hedgehog Tales comes out. And for anybody that's wondering, is Lost Hedgehog Tales going to cost anything? No. Ian Flynn has gone on record by saying that Lost Hedgehog Tales will be free. It'll be an online thing that he will publish and share with all of us. Now, my theory, my predictions on what we could see, or what will be revealed plot-wise in Lost Hedgehog Tales. What I feel Ian Flynn is going to reveal is he's going to reveal he had something bigger in mind. You know, a lot of us fans speculate and pretty much feel that Ian wasn't really giving Sally the villainous treatment now that she was a weaponized, roboticized version of herself. Well, I predict that one of the plot points that Ian's going to point out was he was indeed going to go in that direction. He was indeed going to work it out to where Sally would eventually get so manipulated in her weaponized, roboticized state that she would overthrow Eggman and take over, or at least try to. That, I believe, is a direction Ian's going to point out that he wanted to go in with the story. I could be wrong, and like I just said, Moby Knight and anybody else listening, we'll just have to wait till Lost Hedgehog Tales comes out very soon. Just don't know when that's going to be. Now, as far as the other characters go, I think Ian was planning to bring them back throughout the World Tour, throughout the World Tour 2 portion of this arc. I really think he was. I think he was planning to bring them back by having Sonic, Tails, and Amy and T-Pup bump in to each and every one of them. Just like they kind of bumped into the Secret Freedom Fighters, well, Tails did anyway. I believe that's how they would have reunited with Bunny. And they probably would have seen Bunny, half legionized, basically back to the way she was before she got crystallized, and then surprisingly restored to normal thanks to Nagas. And I also think that Ian's going to reveal not just how they're going to meet up with her, but I think Ian, as part of the original story, will have Bunny reveal to Sonic and Tails, look, to Sonic, Tails, and Amy, that she had no choice, that after what happened to Antoine, she felt she was better off being half cybernetic. She was a better contribution to the team as being half cybernetic. And that's why she went to her uncle to do what she did. That, I believe, will be a plot point discussed in Lost Hedgehog Tales. I mean, Ian cannot avoid that. He can't. He can't avoid that, whatever. He has to point that out. He has to bring that to the forefront. Now, as far as the Secret Freedom Fighters go, I think the plot point with them is they will be finally revealed. Sonic and company will be like on the last leg of the world tour before the whole endangered species deal, and they will bump into the Secret Freedom Fighters finally. Sonic will see who's leading them, ask what's going on, then find out who's behind the whole organization, and find out that also Nicole's part of it, and then find out altogether that this is a way to try to bring Nagas to an end. So I do believe eventually the team, I guess it was a team fighters as they call themselves, we're going to meet up with the Secret Freedom Fighters eventually. And not just a Tails accidentally bumps into them and has to keep it a secret as to who he met or who he saw. That's one thing I believe would happen. I think Ian definitely was going to discuss that. As far as the Ken Penders characters go, obviously they were going to play a big role in this. I think what's going to be revealed is Ken Penders' characters of Julie Sue, Linda, some of the Legionnaires. Basically, it would be revealed that they're the only ones that can restore Sally, and that by using the Krazood plant, if you will, they can help and do that. In exchange that if they help get Sally back to normal, they can probably deactivate the bombs that Eggman has kept inside of them. I also believe that Dimitri was going to play a role in this. I believe he would have that knowledge after years of being Urajak and all that. He would have somewhat of a knowledge of how to get her back to normal using the Krasud. I think that would have been part of the whole restoration. I also feel that we would have seen Hershey again, and again, I think that's part of the whole being on their World Tour 2 deal. I mean, we did kind of get an idea that there was some kind of like a spy in one of the Legion chapters, and we would have found out that that spy was Hershey. I think that's what have happened, and I think he's going to point out that yes, originally, when Sonic, Tails, and Amy teamed up with the Wolf Twins, Lita and Lyko, that originally was supposed to be Hershey and not the Wolf Twins. And that maybe he was going to add in the Wolf Twins later on to help out. Another plot point I think is going to be revealed is, of course, Jeffrey being possessed by Nagas. I think eventually the Freedom Fighters will come back. They'll have Sally still in a roboticized, weaponized state, but unconscious, kind of like shut down for the moment. They'll kind of have Nagas, they'll kind of bump into Nagas, but bump into Jeffrey. And that as they're trying to probably find a way to restore Sally, Nagas, through Jeffrey, is going to try to sabotage what's going on. We'll find out that, I have a feeling we'll find out that that was going to be a plot point in the story. And that by seeing and maybe even catching, either through Nicole or maybe one of the Freedom Fighters, secret Freedom Fighters, sees what's going on, they'll find out or kind of detect that Jeffrey's not himself, and that I feel, as crazy as it sounds, it'll be hard. As crazy as it sounds, I feel it would be Harvey, who of all people, that will point out that Nagas must have possessed Jeffrey's body. Because he'll point out that if people are saying he was in the state that he was in, it wouldn't surprise me if he possessed Jeffrey's body. And then, of course, Nagas will reveal himself through Jeffrey, maybe even mutate Jeffrey to another form. Then, of course, the Freedom Fighters and Secret Freedom Fighters and the Chaotix together, because I think it would take all three of them, would defeat, thus finally vanquishing Nagas and freeing Jeffrey and getting him back to normal. As far as Sally, or Mecha Sally, goes, that, my friends, is a good question. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning, I think Ian was going to go in the villainous route with her, just temporarily, where she would overthrow Eggman and everything, seeing as though, hey, I have the knowledge of what I used to have, I know the strategies, I should be the one taking control of this empire. So I truly think that would have happened, and on top of that, I keep looking at this picture that Ace of Speed on DeviantArt did. Ace of Speed here on DeviantArt did. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of the plot points pointed out in Lost Hedgehog Tales by Ian is that Sally somehow, not transmutates, but basically does what Metal Sonic does in Sonic Heroes and goes into an ultimate form. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that gets revealed as one of the plot points, and then that's the way that's how they finally defeat her, by not only beating her in that form, but after they beat her, she sort of kind of changes back to normal, back to her regular roboticized, weaponized state, and then she gets taken over back to New Mobotropolis, where of course they encounter and find out that Jeffrey got possessed by Nagas, and then that fight takes place. And yeah, oh yeah, just in case you're wondering, yes, Silver would be involved, and he would be one of the main reasons, of course. Sally would be defeated. Mecha Sally would be defeated, even in this new Mega Ultimate form, whatever it would be, because I got a feeling Ian was going to go there, and I got a feeling that's a plot point that would have been revealed. And he would also be one of the reasons why they defeat Nagas and restore Jeffrey back to normal. So I truly think, I just truly think that's what they would have done. I just truly think they would have gone in this direction. I mean, these directions, and I believe that's what's going to get revealed in Lost Hedgehog Tales, or something similar to it. You know, again, I could be wrong about it, but I really don't think I am. I think I'm kind of on spot. I'm kind of on the spot with some of these. I just really think I am. I mean, it just seems too obvious to me, you know. And I also feel that one of the plot points, or one of the ideas that will be revealed, plot points, whatever, is Sally sort of starting to regain a bit of a free will every time she does encounter the freedom fighters or team fighters. Every time, you know, she's encountered them, it's like you're going to probably get like some kind of a backstory where she's trying to fight, where she kind of like a backstory where she kind of like regains her free will and then loses it, kind of like a back and forth battle. So I really think that would have been a major plot point as well, because when you think about it, you know, you have her with this, you have her encountering Tails and giving him an option that only the real Sally would give him, not a totally brainwashed Mecha Sally. So that would have been contributing to the plot, as well as there was that one panel where she's looking outside the hut after Eliza's, her brother, escapes. I think that would have also helped contribute to the plot as well, and that's what would have led us to maybe her starting to fight to regain her free will. So that's really about it, and that's really about it as far as what I feel Ian Flynn's going to discuss, or Ian Flynn's going to reveal in Lost Hedgehog Tales. I really believe that those are some of the things that he's going to reveal to the world, to the fans and everything, to the world, with this Lost Hedgehog Tales deal. And I wouldn't be surprised if I'm kind of on point with some of these predictions, but if I'm not, I'm not. Hey, maybe we'll all be surprised, and maybe it'll be something we wouldn't really expect. So, and you know, maybe he'll clarify whether or not he did have Sally gutted by Eggman, and you know, when he went to weaponize her, or if he just put weaponized armor on her, so, or just welded it, whatever. So let me know what you guys think down below, but this is just my response to this topic.